Starting 2024, the Canadian real estate market is rather confusing. Some cities have near record home prices, while other cities have seen sales crater and home prices down over 20%. How do we make any sense of it? Let's get into it and figure things out. Hey there, welcome back to Bald Prairie Real Estate. My name is Matthew Pfeifer, real estate agent in Regina, and that's my trusted assistant, Matilda. This is my coast-to-coast January 2024 Canadian real estate market update. Like I said, going coast to coast, not just a national picture here. We're gonna look at each individual city because Canada is not one big real estate market. It's a whole bunch of very regionalized markets. So we got to get deep dive into each one of those to get you up to date as to what's going on. Now, normally I would do a local agent insight section in each city, telling you what I'm hearing from real estate agents in these respective markets as to what they're seeing. We're doing things a little bit differently this time. We're doing a quick recap on the year to kind of keep this video a little bit shorter, and we'll get back to those regular local agent insight sections going forward. I am also going to be doing a 2024 Canadian real estate market forecast video, so make sure you get subscribed so you don't miss that video when it comes out. Hopefully I'm out real shortly here. But let's get into it. There's a couple of trends that I want to talk about first before we get in each individual city, because a lot of these trends apply across the country. It's important to talk about those first. First, let's talk about distressed sellers and new listings, because there was a lot of talk going into 2023 that the impact of higher interest rates would really be felt. We'd see a lot of people that would get behind on a mortgage. That would be reflected in delinquency rates. That never really materialized. And then of course, we'd see this flood of people having to put their house in the market. So there'd be a flood of new listings, a lot of inventory available. And that never materialized either. When it comes to interest rates, we've seen about 20% of mortgage holders have to renew this past year. And of course, they would have renewed into higher interest rates. We will see more in 2024. So it's gonna be interesting to see if we do see a little bit of more distressed sellers coming to the market, but that didn't really materialize much in 2023. Many cities saw not really much change in new listings at all. And in fact, a lot of cities saw fewer houses come to market than they typically do. Toronto is one of those. And speaking of Toronto, and you can include Vancouver, Ottawa, Montreal in this list, cities that have seen significant increases in active inventory, houses currently for sale. And that obviously hasn't been caused by new listings coming to market. So what's causing it? Lack of sales. But we'll get into that later on when we get into each one of these cities. Overall inventory in those bigger centers is up quite a bit. But across the prairies, inventory is down significantly. But when it comes to home prices, not much changed in 2023. Pretty much across the board, where home prices were to start 2023 is where they are to start 2024. The exception to that is the prairies. We've seen home prices increase through the prairies, especially in cities like Calgary that are setting all-time highs right now. Surprisingly, Vancouver actually is going to start 2024 with home prices up about 5% from where they were in 2023. Now let's get into the video and start with one of my terrible bad dad jokes. How do you get a canoe full of puppies to go forward? You pull out the doggy paddle. If you have a terrible joke I can use in a future episode, put it in the comments below. Let's get into it. In Victoria, the 329 homes sold in the month is down 24% from that 5-year average, typically about 433 homes sell in the month. And the 390 homes new listed for sale in the month is actually down 4% from the 5-year average, typically 410 homes are listed for sale. The 2,100 homes currently for sale in Victoria is up 38% from the 5-year average, usually about 1,550 homes are for sale this time of year. That puts months of inventory at 6.5. We're in a buyer's market in Victoria. And when it comes to home prices, the Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price that combines all property types into one. It's less volatile and doesn't get skewed as much as average price. $860,000 right now. That's up 1% year over year. It is down 12% from the peak we saw in April of 2022. Victoria ended 2023 with the fewest number of homes sold that I've got recorded. Now that's only back to 2015, but they're still down 22%. New listings ended the year basically what we'd expect through that 5-year average. And they're starting the year with the most number of homes I have got on record. So that's good for buyers. 1,370 homes sold in Vancouver last month is down 33%. Normally about 2,000 homes sell in the month, while the 1,300 homes new listed for sale is down 22%. Usually over 1,700 homes come to the market this time of year. And the 8,800 homes currently for sale, that is up 1%. Usually around 8,700 homes for sale this time of year. Months of inventory is 5.2, meaning they're trending closer and closer to a buyer's market in Vancouver. But when it comes to home prices, the Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price, $1.16 million. It's up 5% year over year. It's down about 6% from the $1.26 million. That was the peak in April of 2022. It is also 5 months in a row that home prices in Vancouver have declined month over month. Vancouver ended 2023 with approximately 26,000 homes sold in a year. That's down 17% from that 5-year average. And it's the fewest number of homes sold in Vancouver in the better part of a decade. The nearly 50,000 homes new list for sale, though, is also down 10% from the 5-year average and the fewest number of homes new list for sale in about a decade. When it comes to what they're starting the year with, this inventory that's currently on for sale market, that's basically what you'd expect this time of year. That 1,366 homes that were sold last month in Calgary is only up 18%. There's been many times in 2023, it's been up over 20%. The average for the 5-year is 1,100 homes that typically sell in the month. While the 1,250 new listings is up 5% over the 5-year average. Usually, again, about 1,100 houses are listed for sale in the month. But the less than 3,000 homes currently for sale in Calgary is down 29% from the 5-year average. Usually over 4,000 homes are for sale this time of year. Months of inventory is 1.8, meaning ever so slightly Calgary has been trending a little bit closer back to a balanced market. Still a long ways to go there, but they are the tightest real estate market in Canada still. When it comes to home prices, the Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price for Calgary, $572,000. That is up 10% year over year, and it was just ever so slightly down from the all-time high of last month. Calgary ends the year with over 27,000 homes sold in the year. That's third all-time, only third to 2022 and 2021, where they saw about 29,000 homes sold in 2022 and over 27,500 homes sold in 2021. When it comes to new listings, this was kind of a tale of two stories, because beginning of the year, they saw new listings way down versus the 5-year average the year before. And then the back half of the year, new listings were way up over the 5-year average, essentially ending the year equal to what we'd expect this time of year. But they're gonna start the year with the fewest number of homes I've ever seen the Calgary real estate market start with. So that means if they get any sort of a busy spring market, I think this could be a very difficult and challenging spring market in Calgary for first-time homebuyers or anybody looking to get in the market for the first time. The 1,200 homes sold in Edmonton last month is up 26%, usually less than 1,000 homes sell in the month. And the under 1,500 homes new listed for sale is up 21%, usually about 1,230 homes are listed for sale. And the 4,600 homes currently for sale in Edmonton is down 17% from that 5-year average. Usually over 5,500 homes are for sale this time of year, and that leaves months of inventory at 3.8, just barely on the edge between a balanced and a seller's market in Edmonton. When it comes to home prices in Edmonton, the Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price, $375,000. It's up 3% year over year. It is down about 8% from the peak we saw in April of 2022, which was $406,000. Edmonton ends the year with 22,700 homes sold in the year. That is third all-time, third only to 2022 and 2021, where they saw over 24,000 homes sell in the year. That still puts them up 15% above the 5-year average. The 35,000 homes that were newly listed for sale throughout the entire year is basically exactly equal to the 5-year average. And much like Calgary, early on in the year, not all listings coming on the market. Listings were way down. In the back half of the year, more new listings came on the market and essentially balanced things out. But again, like Calgary, Edmonton is going to start the year with the fewest number of homes for sale that I've ever seen recorded. Of course, 20 years ago, lower numbers, but in terms of recent history, this is the fewest number of homes I've seen in Edmonton for sale in a long time. And that is going to put a lot of pressure on buyers in the spring if we get any sort of a busy spring market. The 188 homes sold last month in Regina is up 19% from the 5-year average. Typically about 160 homes sell in the month. And there were 200 homes newly listed for sale. That's actually up about 10% over the 5-year average of 180. But the 620 homes currently for sale in Regina is down 33% from that 5-year average. Usually about 900 homes are for sale this time of year, leaving months of inventory at 3.3, straddling the edge between a balanced and a seller's market in Regina. When it comes to home prices, the Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price just slipped under $300,000. That is down 4% year over year, down 11% from the peak we saw of $335,000. That was in June of 2022. Regina ended the year with about 3,500 homes sold in the year. That is down 5% from last year, down 8% from 2021. Those are the two best years all time in Regina history. But typically prior to 2020, you'd see about 2,400 to 2,600 homes sell in Regina in every single year. So seeing over 3,400 closing on 3,500 homes selling a year is absolutely crazy busy. We also saw this year the fewest number of homes listed for sale in over a decade in Regina. We're going to start the year with the fewest number of homes for sale in over a decade. So if we get any sort of a slightly busy spring market, it's going to make it very difficult for buyers because there's not a lot of inventory to choose from. But then why are home prices dropping? They always do in the winter months in Regina, whether the market is up or down. They almost always decline in these cooler months. Once the weather starts to warm up, expect prices start increasing as well. Saskatoon saw 230 homes sold in a month. That's up 3% from the 5-year average. Typically about 220 homes sell in a month. And the 250 homes newly listed for sale is down 17%. Typically almost 300 homes are newly listed for sale in a month. When it comes to active inventory, there's less than 700 houses for sale in Saskatoon. That's down 38% from the 5-year average, usually closer to 1,100 homes for sale this time of year. That leaves months of inventory right at 3.0 on the line between a seller's market and a balanced market. When it comes to home prices, the Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price for Saskatoon, about $375,000, up 3% year over year, down 1% from the peak we saw, which was $382,000 just 2 months ago in October. Saskatoon ended the year with over 4,600 homes sold in the year, up 15% from the 5-year average, second all-time only to 2021, where they had over 5,400 homes sold in the year. And the 6,700 homes that were newly listed for sale in the year, that's down 7% from that 5-year average. And they end the year with the fewest number of homes listed for sale in over a decade. They're also going to start the year with the fewest number of homes for sale in over a decade. Again, like Regina, Calgary, Edmonton, they see any sort of a busier spring market than we'd expect, or even just a normal busy market, and they don't see a lot of inventory come in the market, it's going to make it very difficult for people who are trying to get into the market, or just home buyers in general, because there's not much to choose from, and it's going to push up prices. Winnipeg had 635 homes sold a month. That's down 27% from the 5-year average. Typically about 870 homes sell in the month, while the 1,500 homes newly listed for sale is up 21%. Usually about 1,230 homes are newly listed for sale in the month. And there's just under 3,000 homes currently for sale in Winnipeg. That's up 5% from that 5-year average. Usually it's about 2,800. So it puts months of inventory in Winnipeg at 4.7. When it comes to home prices in Winnipeg, the Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price, $327,000. That's up 1% year over year. It is down 12% though from the peak we saw in May of 2022, where prices were at $370,000. The 13,000 homes sold is down 12% from that 5-year average, but that is really skewed by the massive sale numbers in 2020 and 2021, and even in 2022, they saw 16,000, 18,500, and 14,700 homes sold in each one of those years. If you go back prior to 2020, 12,000 homes selling a year in Winnipeg is pretty typical. The 22,000 homes that were newly listed for sale is basically in line with that 5 average, and that was consistent even prior to 2020, but they are starting the year with a little more active inventory than they typically do this time of year. In Toronto, the 3,400 homes sold in the month is down 30% from that 5-year average of about 4,900. But the almost 3,900 homes new listed for sale in the month is also down 15% from the 5-year average. About 4,500 typically are new listed for sale in the month. Currently, there's almost 10,400 homes for sale in Toronto. That's up 35% from the 5-year average of about 7,700. But months of inventory is actually at 2.4, trending Toronto actually back down into technically a buyer's market. And when it comes to home prices in Toronto, the Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price, $1.067 million. That is exactly equal year over year. It is down 21% from the highs we saw in the spring of 2022, but it's also unchanged from where we started 2023. The 66,000 homes that sold last year in Toronto is down a staggering 33%. It's the fewest number of homes that have sold in Toronto in 23 years, and it's half of the number of homes that sold in 2022 when they had over 122,000 sell in just a single year. When it comes to new listings, the 140,000 new listings in the year is down 10% from that 5-year average, and it's actually the fewest number of homes newly listed for sale in over a decade. And remember, a huge percent, probably about 20% of these new listings are actually relists of existing properties that are already for sale, so canceled and considered a new listing when they're put back up in the market. The 10,000 homes currently for sale is actually basically what you would expect when you look at the pre-2020 numbers. 2020, 21, and 2022 inventory was really low. Prior to that, 10,000 homes to start the year would be about average. The 645 homes that sold last month in Ottawa is down 17% from the 5-year average, usually closer to 800 sell in the month. While the 630 homes newly listed for sale is down 3% from the 5-year average, usually about 650 homes are listed for sale. And the almost 2,800 homes that are currently for sale in Ottawa is up 64% from that 5-year average. We're going to talk about that in 1 second here. It's about 1,700 is what's typically for sale this time of year on that 5-year average. Months of inventory is at 4.3, putting Ottawa right in the middle of a balanced market. And when it comes to home prices in Ottawa, the Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price is currently sitting at $620,000. That's up 2% year over year. It is down 15% from the peaks we saw, about $725,000 in March of 2022. The 13,000 homes that sold last year in Ottawa is down about 25% from the 5-year average, and it's the fewest number of homes to sell in the city in over a decade. Well, the 24,000 homes that were newly listed for sale in the year, that's basically equal to that 5-year average. And when you talk active inventory, starting near about 2,800 homes for sale, that sounds like a lot when you compare it again to that 5-year average and previous years. But prior to 2020, 2,800 houses in the market would actually be considered very low. Typically, there's about 3,500 homes that would be for sale if you look at the rolling average prior to 2020. In Montreal, they saw 2,100 homes sell last month. That is down 38% from the 5-year average of about 3,400. While the 2,500 homes newly listed for sale is down 15% from the 5-year average of just under 3,000. And the almost 16,000 homes currently for sale in Montreal is up 12% from that 5-year average. We're going to talk about that in 1 second here. That's usually about 14,200 this time of year. And so months of inventory, Montreal continues to see the most months of inventory, 7.6. When it comes to home prices in Montreal, the Canadian Real Estate Association composite benchmark price for the city, $514,000. That's up 4% year over year, down 7% from the peak of $550,000 we saw in the spring of 2022. And it's remained basically unchanged all year long. The 35,500 homes that sold last year in Montreal is 27% below the 5-year average, and you have to go back to 2015 to find a year where they had fewer homes selling in a single year. But the 61,000 homes that were newly listed for sale in Montreal through the entire year, that's actually down 7% from the 5-year average and the fewest number to be put up for sale in over a decade. When you look at the 16,000 homes that are currently for sale to start the year in Montreal, well, that is up 12% over the 5-year average. You have to look at how much 2020, 21, and 22 have skewed the numbers, because if you go and look at the 5-year rolling average prior to 2020, typically 25 to 30,000 homes would be for sale at the start of January in Montreal. The 230 homes that sold in Halifax last month is down 9% from last year. The 160 homes that were new listed for sale is down 13% from last year. The 742 homes currently for sale in Halifax is up 34% from last year. So months of inventory is actually 3.2, meaning the first time in a really long time, seems like forever. The months of inventory in Halifax puts Halifax technically into just slightly a balanced market. And the average price in Halifax, because they don't use composite benchmark price, $562,000, that is up 3% year over year. For the rest of 2024 and going forward, I have enough data. I've been working behind the scenes to collect all the historical data for Halifax, and we'll have 5-year averages to compare against. So that's gonna be awesome for you guys. So you'll have to kind of have a better context of what's going on versus the year over year numbers. Unfortunately, Halifax and the Nova Scotia Association, Canadian Real Estate Association, all do not publish benchmark price for Halifax. There's nothing to do with that. Fortunately, I still have to use average price. Okay, if you have made it this far in the video, well, thank you very much. Awesome. You should give this video a like as well. Please subscribe to Bald Prairie Real Estate if you haven't already. If you're thinking about buying a house as well, let me know. And you can do that by checking the link out in the description of this video below. It's linked directly to my calendar. You can book me in and I can get you set up with a fantastic real estate agent in your market if you are thinking about buying a house. If you're working in Regina, obviously love to help you, but across Canada, I can get you set up with a fantastic agent. Subscribe to Bald Prairie Real Estate. If you love learning about Canadian real estate, leave me some comments below so we can chat in the comment section below. I always love those conversations. And as always, thank you very much for watching.